You are now listening to the Flaming Melon Podcast, featuring your hosts, the Watermelon Boys, Lucas Beaudois and Patrick Riley. Fasten your seatbelts and enjoy the ride. And make sure to look both ways at the stop sign because the Watermelon Boys and affiliate networks will not be held liable for any accidents caused by this pod. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the latest installment of the Flaming Melon Podcast. I am Patrick, one of your hosts, and your other host is right here with us today. That's Lucas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 7.
7. Wow.
Lucky number 7.
Well, this is the Turning Point podcast then. This is where everything changes. And, to start that off, I just want to say that we'll be filming the rest of our podcasts in the future on Omegle. That's right, Omegle. You may have heard of it. Maybe it's been a long time since you've been on it. Maybe there's reasons you stay away from it, like seeing a lot of stuff that you probably shouldn't see. But we're filming the rest of the podcast on Omegle. That's right, Omegle. So that means we're going to have a lot of new co-hosts with us. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, it is. A lot of really horny people are going to be co-hosting with us, and probably some kids. It's going to be a wide variety of co-hosts. So, yeah, look forward to that.
Yeah, you'll be able to. There's going to be a time where you'll be like, well, that one co-host was a dick.
For those who don't know what Omegle is, it is a website that randomly connects you into a video chat with someone else on that website. And I'm sure you can imagine where that goes wrong most of the time. But yeah, that's we're proud to be partnering with them.
Yeah, it's we're not going to be talking about that today, but it's a partnership. It's not just we're not doing an ad for them. This is a partnership, and we'll see where it takes us. But Lucas, how was your week? Your previous week?
My week was well. I had a well week.
You got a well week.
So I got a couple little magic things for you. I booked a last minute show. It was last Monday. I booked it for Tuesday.
Okay.
And it's the same member who books me for a lot of small close-up shows. And this one was just 4 people, just did an hour from like 5 to 6 o'clock. And it was a good time. Those are always super fun. Get to try some new stuff. And I think, as I mentioned previously, those smaller crowds tend to ask a lot of questions that let you kind of spitball what you want to do for the rest of the show based on what they're kind of interested about. And it's super fun.
So what percentage of the show would you say is unique to the audience that you had performed for?
Probably half. I have roughly 25 to 30 minutes scripted for those small close-up shows, where I have like a string of effects that all link together based on what I'm talking about. And then after that, depending on the audience, if they're asking a lot of questions already, sometimes I'll start free-flowing a little bit earlier. But usually at the halfway mark, I'll just kind of do what they're interested in. Like if they're asking a lot of questions about other magicians, I can show them some of other people's work. Like a lot of people will ask about Penn and Teller Fool Us and various magicians that have been on there, so I can show them stuff that's similar to their style, stuff like that. Or if it's an audience that isn't as engaged, then I continue on just with a string of other effects. So it's not quite as flowing as the first half of the show, but I can still just bring out a couple things that I know play well to pretty much anyone, and that's how I'll finish a show. But most of the time, the audience interaction is really good.
I really enjoy that format, and I think it works really well with you and your style and your ability to kind of go with the flow and read the room. But what you said about fool us leads me to a question that might give me some insight, maybe our listeners as well. But what do you find that, because I'm always curious about how the public views magic, and given the resources that they have to view it and the shows that exist, what do you find people bring up the most? Like America's Got Talent's probably one of them, but what when they have a show to compare it to, or to ask you questions about, what does it tend to be? Like, what are some common?
Yeah, America's Got Talent, I think, is brought up far less nowadays, at least to me, because that used to be like the number one thing. Is either people telling me about magicians who have been on there, and I don't get me wrong, I still get it pretty frequently, but it used to be like that's the only thing I would ever hear is people talking about magicians who have been on there and asking me what I think of them, and asking me if I had ever thought about going on there. I hear that far less. I honestly think I hear fool us more, which is kind of surprising, but a lot of people will at least mention the show, and a good portion of people will mention magicians that they saw on the show. And sometimes they can remember the names and tell me exactly who it is. Like I've met people who are actually fans of the show and are able to tell me about different magicians and ask me questions about them, which is super fun. Because I've seen most of Fool Us as well. And it's just, I don't know, it's just cool that they're watching a show that is entirely centered around magic, and like is arguably the best magic show out there right now. At least I think, in my opinion, it probably is. It exposes a lot of great magicians to the public that people may have never seen.
Yeah, that's the main thing that I really enjoy about it. I mean, there's some really cool magic there as well. Don't get me wrong, but it's there's been a lot of really talented people who were seen as underground before making their first television appearance with Fool Us. So really, they're doing a lot of positive work for the magic scene with that show.
Definitely, yeah, and Penn and Teller have both said it's not as much about fooling them, at least the core of the show. It's just about getting great magicians on TV and getting them recognized, and their careers definitely are boosted because of being on that show, whether they fool them or not. It's just great to go on there.
Right, you get to then market yourself as somebody who's been on TV, and if you fool Penn and Teller, then hey, that's another huge accolade that you can add to your belt.
Right, for sure. The other thing I hear a lot is TikTok nowadays. Some guys talk about magic on TikTok, which I am not as much a fan of. Doing magic on there, just because the segments are so brief, you can't actually do anything with a lot of substance to it. Just the junk food magic that I've also mentioned on here.
The main thing that I hold against it is just the majority of it is stuff that couldn't be done if real people were there. Like it looks like the camera captures it well, but if the stuff that's done is usually very visual stuff that is only gotten away with because there's only one
point of reference. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And there's some real people on there too that do good stuff, but I don't know. It's not everyone's style. For some guys it'll work, but
yeah, definitely it deserves a lane, but because of how popular TikTok is, it might give people unrealistic expectations of magic if that's the main source that they're using to get that form of entertainment from.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, getting back to the show, that was a great time as always. I love doing those small close-up sets. Yeah, but I think this one we were talking about Fool Us a little bit, and so I talked about Aussie Win and did a couple effects by Aussie, just as an example of stuff that can happen in the show. And then I went to another Palm Springs Magicians meeting, which unfortunately I was late for because of this last minute show. So I showed up about halfway through, but I will tell you a little bit about what I was able to see and was able to catch for the latter half. So the theme this week was it came from the dollar store. So everyone was requested to go to a dollar store if they had time and try to show tricks using materials from the dollar store. So I've got the meeting notes pulled up here. Let me see if I can find out when I came in.
Okay, they log it?
They do log it.
Okay.
Yes, and take photos.
They took a photo of you walking in late.
No, they didn't take a photo of that.
Lucas arrived late.
No, I'd let them know I was coming in late. They were cool.
Okay.
So I walked in just as Garnett Garvin was sharing a few routines here. So he actually shared a lot. He did a bill effect first where he kind of pulls a $20 bill through a $10 bill. He did a bit with a shoelace and a nut, where he would put like a nut and bolt, the nut.
Yeah.
He would put it on the shoelace, close it into his hand, and then have the shoelace tied at the other end, and he was able to get the nut off with seemingly no struggle. That was actually a really cool effect. And then he did a pen through bill effect, and a straw through another straw routine, which is, the version of Crazy Man's Handcuffs, just with, people do with cigarettes and matchsticks and a variety of things. But he gave out materials to everyone who was in the meeting to do all these effects. So he actually gave out a pen that can be used to do a pen through bill, which is pretty crazy. And I guess he found those materials or they can be found in a dollar store in Canada, I guess. Because for those who don't know, the pen through bill, typically it is done with a gimmicked pen. Not always, but I guess he was able to find these pens that were gimmicked to put them through a dollar bill. And he gave us each one. So I have one now. So that was cool. And he gave us all shoelaces and nuts and straws so we could all practice these effects that he was doing, which was really nice.
Yeah, that is awesome. That you got to see it, and then he taught it immediately after, or did you have a chance to practice it while he's going through?
He showed the trick. He taught it. He gave us all materials so we could try it right then and there. It was pretty sweet, like a little mini lecture in there.
I like it. What's his name again? Weird name.
Garnett, double G, Garnett Garvin. Yeah. And then Warren Morse, who is the president, did a linking rings routine with plastic hangers, which was pretty clever. And then, so those are the only two things that I caught. And then I did a prediction effect where the prediction is incorrect, and you take a lighter and run the flame underneath the prediction, and the ink changes to match the prediction, which is a fun little effect. And then Don Campbell, another member, I missed his routine, but he brought a bunch of old like Genie magazines and some old props that he kind of doesn't use anymore and was just giving them out. So I got this book on how to play poker and win, and I got this old Genie magazine that's got a pretty cool cover. That's why I took it. It's Sawing a Lady in Half. Who thought of it first? And I have not read it yet, but that was also cool. A lot of gifts this week.
Wow, what a giving time.
I know. It's wild.
What's the date on that, or what's the year on that magazine?
Let me see. I haven't even looked. Oh, it's actually pretty new. It's December 2021.
Okay, because the cover looks like they were basing it off of some old poster or something.
Yeah, it's a cool cover. Yeah.
I like that.
Anyways, that was the meeting. Another great time. I think the next one is early February, and the theme is Valentine's magic. So something to do with love or just a trick that you love. So That'll be the next one.
Well, hey, and it's your birthday.
My birthday is on Valentine's Day.
So maybe they're going to give you more gifts.
Maybe. It's not, the meeting isn't on, I think it's on like February 1st, though. It's the first Tuesday.
Ask them for gifts. They'll give them to you.
You know who else's birthday is on Valentine's Day?
Joaquin Phoenix?
No, I like that guess though, because I love Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
but it's
I tried.
It's Teller of Penn and Teller, who we're going to talk about today.
Oh, you share a birthday with Teller?
I do share a birthday with Teller. Yeah, how about that?
Wow. I'm surprised I never heard him talk about it, but at the same time, he doesn't speak.
I was thinking about putting that in the trivia, but I was certain that you would know that. I mean, I guess you would have if the trivia is Penn and Teller. Then I don't know how I would have framed that looking back on it, but anyways, I share a birthday with Teller.
Well, does that mean you share a birthday with him? So does that mean you're celebrating together as well?
Probably not this year, but maybe not next year also.
Maybe 3 years from now is a pretty good time frame. Gives you some time to network with him and his team.
Sure. Yep.
He's got a big team behind him. So
yeah, I have met him once and talked to him for about 45 seconds. So I'm sure
break down it.
I'm sure he remembers me.
Give me a second-by-second breakdown on that conversation. We're going with second one.
I think my mom would probably remember it better than me because I was.
You were starstruck?
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of spinning in my own head, but I told him, nice to meet you. My name's Lucas. Been doing magic, I think, for 14 years at the time. And I told him I'm a big fan of their magic and their TV show Bullshit and all that they do in the realm of skepticism. And he told me I had good taste. And then I had him sign a 3 of clubs.
Nice.
And that was it. And then took a picture with him.
The 3 of clubs. I'm sure we'll get into the 3 of clubs a little bit later.
We might talk about it.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to mention today?
No, that's about all I had. I'm trying to think. I don't think I had anything else crazy happen. So, I don't know. What do you got going on? You got anything for us before we dive into a little ad read?
I've been diving into conspiracy theories a little bit. I've been diving deep into conspiracy theories, and I decided to move from it. I don't want to get too deep into conspiracy theories, but I did learn a little bit about maraschino cherries recently, and and I think that it might be time to really crack open the lid on this conspiracy. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's crack it.
All right. Well, maraschino cherries are thought to be the source of the one world government. The one world government is actually being ran by maraschino cherries, and it's really sad to see it happen right in front of our fucking eyes, just being taken away from us. You can tell that I'm upset when I'm talking about this because
I can tell that you believe in this conspiracy theory based on the way that you're talking about it. Because you are upset. Or is this... Yes. Am I correct?
Is anybody right? Does anybody even have the right answers? This is something we all talk about often, and the maraschino cherries have created the one world government, and it's taking over slowly, very slowly, the life is being sucked out of you very slowly. So you're almost watching your own death in slow motion, and it's rough. Frankly, it's rough. And there's this guy named Frank. He thought it was rough too. So frankly, it's a rough thing, and we have to stop it. Give me what your current knowledge on that subject?
0, actually. I have very limited knowledge on world governments, and I have 0 knowledge on world governments being ran by maraschino cherries.
Well, pretty much there was this guy named Alfred, and he accidentally dumped the juice of maraschino cherries on this we'll call him an underground dictator, okay?
Uh-huh.
And that the cherry red color seeped into his body and made him a much more evil person than they started off as. This led to many world wars, and now we're at this point where they're unstoppable. They had the fountain of youth is actually maraschino cherry juice, so they're now this infinitely living being that cannot be stopped. And pretty much it's just going to end up in a lot of war. But there, have you ever heard of the New World Order?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Well, that's exactly what this is about. Pretty soon, we're all going to be bleached red, and they're going to put stems in our heads, and then we're pretty soon we're going to be on top of a sundae. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, that's pretty fucked up.
Well, there are things we can do to stop it.
Okay. What can we do?
There's really not much you can do, so we just kind of take it.
Okay.
Deal with it. But well, there's something we can do to stop it.
Okay. What is that thing?
There's not really much we can do. It's
okay.
It's really but there's one thing we can do.
I think we're in a fucking time loop here. But I'll bite. I'll bite one more time. I'll bite. What can we do?
Well, see, what I'm trying to do here is trigger the time loop to take us back to the beginning, so that way we can take down the dictator. And do you know the name of this dictator?
No.
Betty White.
Oh shit.
See, it all comes full circle. You thought she was never going to die, she dies. That's as soon as you need to start looking at what's going on.
Go ahead.
She's been living so long. No, nothing's stopping her path. She just is only getting, older, but without stopping. So pretty soon, she stops living, and then that's when you need to start asking questions, because it's like she was living for the past 99 years. What stopped it? But I'm saying she's still alive. It was her.
I see. Well, I'd be fascinated to read or watch some of the sources on this stuff, so maybe you can send that over to me after the podcast.
Well, I am working on a book about it currently.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And it's a Amazon bestseller.
I'll be your first customer.
Not even out yet.
It's already an Amazon bestseller.
Already charting, and that's another, that just shows you how the time loop really works.
You should get it on like Ellen or something, or The View. I don't know if those shows promote books, but you should go on there with that book.
Well, I have gotten it on with Ellen before, so.
Oh, okay.
It's we just have to call up the contacts, get me on the show. Ellen's watching this. Ellen, I disagree with how you treat your employees, but there really is this thing that we need to talk about, and I think your show could be a great platform for me to share that with the public. Also, the book is almost out. Already charting. What kind of books do that? Only books that have access to the time loop. So we're going to take down the one world government using the time loop glitch.
All right. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It was a little heavy. I know it's a little heavy to start off the podcast with that.
That's right. It actually makes me excited. I've been looking for something more in my life, and I think this could be it. Taking down the maraschino cherry one world government. Yeah. It's
really getting out of control. Have you ever seen somebody who looked red, like they're somebody who's out at the beach and they just are red? They're red.
I had a dream once where there was a guy who had all his skin peeled off and he looked really red. So maybe they're infiltrating my thoughts.
Well, you know what? That leads me to a funny story about a dream that I had. I forgot. I meant to write it down because it was just so weird. It was I was dreaming and I was like in my backyard on a lawnmower. Okay.
A riding lawnmower?
A riding lawnmower.
Uh-huh.
And I was just riding it, and um, I almost crash into somebody else that has a lawnmower, and they were just like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then this is true. I mean, I'm remembering it as
Okay,
best as I can.
I could
This
tell
is-
if this is real or not.
This is a real dream that I had, and
Okay.
it
all right.
confused me enough where I almost wrote it down, but then I decided I don't really want to.
I actually write down most of my dreams that I remember, because I got some weird ones too.
I should at this point. So I almost crash into these people, and I think it was more than one person on the same lawnmower, which is kind of weird. But they're like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And then we drive our separate ways, and then I almost run into another one. And I just kind of stare at them, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And there's not much else that I really remember about this, other than that there was some lawnmower race going on, and there was just a bunch of people with lawnmowers.
That's really weird.
It was really weird, and it's
I like that though.
there's nothing in my recent memory that could have combined the, like, it's winter right now. It's not like people are mowing their lawns. So
I love it.
it's maybe there's something there. Maybe maybe I can draw some inspiration from that in some way and use that.
I've already got an idea for it, but that'll relate to something in the trivia actually. So we'll get to that later.
All right. Hopefully that was a hint that gave me an idea of an answer. Hopefully
I don't think so, but
hopefully.
yeah. Are we ready to talk about our new sponsor this week?
Yeah. So this sponsor, well, before you look at the sponsor, Lucas, before we talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
how do you, this isn't even anywhere related, so I don't want you to think that it is, but what's your view on network television?
On network television?
Yeah,
I
like,
don't
how do you
know.
feel about it?
I don't really have an opinion on it. I don't really watch television.
Like, if you, like, let's just give out a random example. If I were to name out, let's say, the Food Network channel, you have a positive or a negative view on that? You have to pick one.
Negative.
Okay. And any reason why?
Because I'm vegan.
Yeah. So, and there's not much vegan content on the Food Network channel. Maybe
that's true.
So, well, this is just, I mean, network television. I'm not going to get into it. There's some conspiracies that maybe we'll get into next week. So we're going to just say, we dislike let's just say it at the same time. We dislike the Food Network.
We dislike the Food Network. We dislike the Food Network.
Let's keep saying it.
We dislike
the Food Network.
Okay.
One more time.
We dislike the
Food Network. So that's just for we just had to say it a couple times, and then we're good to go. So now that you can just kind of forget that little fever dream that just happened there, and it's time for you to listen to what Lucas has to say about this next sponsor, and it's I think it's some pretty groundbreaking stuff.
All right. 1 in 4 Americans suffer from paranoia. Are you one of them? If the answer is yes, because the first statement was a lie. The answer is yes, not if. The answer is yes. 1 in 1 Americans suffer from paranoia.
Okay.
You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. Look behind you. Who is that guy watching over your back? Look behind you. Jerry. Jerry, he's watching you. Look behind you. You're not alone. He has a knife. Watch out. I'm kidding. I can't actually see you. Or can I? Yeah, probably not. But that's up for debate. All right. I'll tell the truth here. I cannot see you. I can't. I can see you, Patrick, but anyone else, no. The people who are listening to this, I cannot see you. That is definitive. I can't. But who's to say There may be a guy with a knife named Jerry behind you as you are listening to this podcast. Maybe you're listening in your car. Maybe he's sitting in the back seat. Maybe he's in the trunk. Maybe you're on a walk. Maybe he's 30 yards behind you, waiting for the very moment to catch you off guard and take you down to Knife Town. I will say the odds are low, which is why there is a perfect product out there for you to solve your baseless paranoia. No, mostly baseless. Jerry could be behind you. Let's keep it real. What kind of product could possibly unlock these mental chains around us? There could always be a guy behind you waiting to set your eyes on fire. Wait. Guy, fire. Guy, fire. Guy, fire, I. Guy, fire, I. It's Guy Fieri. That's right. We are talking about season 4 of the Food Network hit show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. I know what you're thinking. Why season 4? Isn't Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, doesn't it have 36 seasons and is still airing on Food Network to this day? Yes, you would be right. And why the number 4? Well, the number 4 is believed to be a very suspicious number and aggravating to the average person who struggles with paranoia. So why would you want to watch something that is going to make you paranoid? The answer is simple. To make you STRONGER! Exclamation point. That's
what does that spell?
Stronger. That spells stronger. It's going to make you stronger. So we're going to break down. I'm going to give you a detailed overview of season 4. Season 4 of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. There's 13 episodes, 39 restaurant locations. The episodes aired July through November of 2008. Patrick, maybe you want to go through these with me as we go along. So I'll start with episode 1 here. Episode 1, season 4, episode 1, aired July 2008. Dumars, that was in Norfolk, Virginia. We had Aunt Lena's Creamery in Chandler, Arizona. The Creole Creamery in New Orleans, Louisiana. Patrick, you want to take it? Season 2 there.
Episode 2 of season 4 also aired in the same month, and the locations that were featured in this were Town Talk Diner, that was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and then we take it over to Blue Plate Diner, Salt Lake City, Utah, and finish it off with another diner. This is Broadway Diner, and as you guessed it, this was in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah, moving on to episode 3, we've got the Highlander, which is Atlanta, Georgia. Gumbo Shack, love that name, in Fairhope, Alabama. And the Starlight Lounge, another pretty good name, in Blawnox, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so episode 4 aired in August of 2008, and this the first location that they visit was the Wienery, and this is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and then we take it over to Casino El Camino. This is in Austin, Texas, and then we finish the episode off with G&A Restaurant, which is in Baltimore, Maryland, again.
And probably the weakest name so far, G&A Restaurant. Unless that stands for like grab and ass or something cool.
Gore and ass.
Gore and ass. Guns and ammo.
I like that.
And then we go to episode 5. We got Uncle Lou's in Memphis, Tennessee. Captain Chuckamucks, my new favorite name so far. That's in Rescue, Virginia. Cool name for a town or city as well.
I like it.
And then Dixie Quicks in Omaha, Nebraska. Another great name. And you've got a great one coming up in episode 6.
Yeah, so, and I will say that the episode 5 did air in August 2008 as well, and so did episode 6. A lot of episodes coming out in that August month. As you know, prime month for releasing episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So Cabbage Town Market, that was in Atlanta, Georgia. Good name. Then we have The Cove, which was San Antonio, Texas, which was mediocre. And then we have Bryant Lake Bowl, Minneapolis, Minnesota. This one gets the score for that name gets about a 3.5 out of 7. And yeah, speaking of 7, so that brings us to episode 7.
Yeah, 3.5. That's close to 4, which is not a
Close.
conspiratorial number. Episode 7 here. Episode 7 of our podcast, but also episode 7 of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. That's going to go over Jamaica Kitchen in Miami, Florida, Crystal Restaurant, another weak name, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Red Iguana in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's a good name.
Yeah.
Take it away with episode 8. And oh, by the way, that was aired in September of 2008, or episode 7, and the next one is as well.
Yeah, so episode 8, like Lucas said, did air in September of 2008. The first location that you go to is Colonade, like if Gatorade and your colon had a baby, it'd be called Colonade, also known as diarrhea. This is in Atlanta, Georgia. And then we go to Mancy's Antique Club, which, if you want to eat some chairs, you can go there. That's in Daphne, Alabama. And then we go to Amato's, which is in Omaha, Nebraska, to finish off the episode.
Moving on to episode 9, also airing in September of 2008, we got Darwell's Cafe in Long Beach, Mississippi. We have Brick Oven Pizza in Baltimore, Maryland. And then we have Victor's 1959 Cafe in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And now we're going to move into some episodes aired in October, starting with episode 10. Go ahead, Patrick.
So we have Nadine's Restaurant, which is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then we have Casamento's Restaurant in New Orleans, Louisiana. And we top it all off with one of my personal favorite restaurant in all of the United States. That's Big Mama's Kitchen and Catering from Omaha, Nebraska.
Man, I would love to go visit that restaurant, Big Mama's. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Episode 11, also airing in October, is going to be Moochie's Meatballs and More. Fucking phenomenal name. Salt Lake City, Utah. Then we got Semita's Puebla in Chicago, Illinois. And then Tioli's Crazy Burger. And that's actually spelled Crazee. And that's in San Diego, California. Tioli's Crazy Burger.
Wow, that spelling, the spelling of crazy was pretty crazy.
That is crazy. And then we get into our last 2 episodes, which are going to air in November. Go ahead and take it away with episode 12.
Well, we have Donatelli's. That's White Bear Lake, Minnesota. And then we have Stony Creek Inn in Greenland Beach, Maryland. And then we go to Alsenia's, which is in Memphis, Tennessee. This leads us to our 13th and final episode, Lucas. Tell them what's in store for them.
Yeah, so final episode, we got Lone Star Taqueria in Salt Lake City, Utah. We get Modern Cafe in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's pretty bland. And then we get Brew Burgers in Omaha, Nebraska. I assume they serve nice brews, nice beer, and burgers.
But you might be wondering, like, what's the real proof that this season, this TV show, is good enough for you to watch?
Yeah, well, here we're gonna get into that. Okay, so here's some proof that reveals the success of this program. Okay, so Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. We're gonna go over the Primetime Emmy Awards. Okay, so starting with the year, the category, the nominee, and the results. So in 2019, in the Outstanding Structured Reality Program, it was nominated. In 2017, in the same category, Outstanding Structured Reality Program, it was nominated. Did not win anything. In 2016, same thing. Outstanding Structured Reality Program, nominated. 2015, nominated. 2014, nominated. 2013, nominated. 2013 again, nominated. 2013 again, nominated. But here's where it gets crazy. In 2013, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, the Daytime Emmy Award, in the special class, it won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts. Wow.
Yeah, well, let me keep going, okay? The Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, okay? 2016, favorite cooking show. It was nominated. Didn't win
Wow.
anything.
Good for them.
Yeah, nominated. The Telly Award in 2013 for TV programs, segments, or promotional pieces of film / video, miscellaneous. It won.
Yes.
2013, same
Yes.
year. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking, Patrick. That's a lot of nominations and awards.
It is.
But where does the paranoia come in? Some of you may have forgot that we started talking about paranoia and the guy, Jerry. To be honest, there's no real cure for paranoia. You just deal with it. You big baby. You big baby, deal with your fucking paranoia. Jerry's going to set your eyes on fire. I'm just kidding. Paranoia is a serious issue, and many people ruin their own lives while living with it. And that's great. But what's not great is being stuck alone while dealing with it. Hop in the car with Guy Fieri. I think the actual pronunciation is Fieri. Guy Fieri. He'll take you to Flavor Town. And guess what? You don't even have to call shotgun. The front seat is going to be open. How about that?
How thoughtful.
Yeah, the front seat is open just for you.
Wow.
We are happy to announce this eternal partnership with the Food Network. What do you get out of this? You become stronger, of course. We already mentioned that. You become stronger. But you also get 20% off of any gas station purchases you make forever. How? You might ask how. You have to simply use the verbal code FlavorTown20, bitch, while pointing a gun at the cashier. Again, that's FlavorTown20, bitch. While you're pointing a gun, it doesn't have to be a real gun. It can be a Nerf gun. It can be a cap gun. It can be your real and loaded gun if you want, and you get 20% off. Okay, so may your trip to Flavortown be buttery and whole. Long live the Queen.
Amen. Wow. Shout out to the Queen.
Shout out to the Queen. Shout out to Guy Fieri. Shout out to season 4 of Diners, Drive-Ins, and whatever else the episode is called.
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
That's it. And shout out to season 4 in particular for winning those awards. Go check it out. It sounds fucking great.
What do you have to say about the Food Network?
Look, I don't have much to say about the Food Network because I don't watch it, but I'm definitely going to check out season 4 of this show.
Well, we could in our minds, let's just replay the clip of you saying what you said. You said you hated the Food Network.
I didn't say that. I think you asked me if I had a positive or negative opinion, and I said negative.
I feel like more was said than just that.
I don't think I said I hated it. I can actually almost certainly say I did not say that.
It was close.
But yeah, I mean, as I think as a vegan, I don't like any promotions of animal products because that also promotes animal cruelty. So I can say that I, in general, based on a very far away look from the Food Network, I could say that I probably don't like it, but I don't watch it, so I don't know.
Well, so what do you have to say for them, putting money in our pockets? Does that make you feel dirty at all?
I'm going to give all the money to you, and then you can do whatever you want with it.
I'm going to do it to buy some subscription accounts to the foodnetwork.com streaming platform. That way I can just watch it on multiple screens at the same time and just give my, we're going to put all this money back into the Food Network, which is very giving to us, but also makes Lucas look kind of questionable in this instance.
I think if you're at home streaming Food Network on multiple devices, I am not going to be the one in question here.
What about you got the laptop, you got the TV, you got the smart TV, you got the phone, you got the Tamagotchi, you got the iPad, you got the iPad
If you're watching Food Network on a Tamagotchi, I think we've reached new levels of paranoia.
I see him in the screen. I see somebody's just playing Tamagotchi, thinking that that they're just training a little Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri's just teaching you how to shape up a diner.
Well, that's another conspiracy that Guy Fieri actually lives in a Tamagotchi device, and that's
I have heard that one actually. That one has a lot of merit.
yeah. And if that person lets him die, then no more of the show. So
Whoever's got that Tamagotchi, you got a lot of responsibility.
any last words?
No.
I said that in a way that it made it sound like you're about to die, but maybe you are. It's you can't live.
Maybe Jerry's behind me is gonna set my eyes on fire.
I mean, I was wondering who that guy was in your screen.
Right. No, what's actually behind me on a real note is the Three of Clubs. I have the Three of Clubs taped to a wooden board that is on my wall, surrounded by movie posters. And the Three of Clubs is a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about today, which is Penn and Teller.
Tell who? Tell her what?
Teller. Teller.
Yeah, what do you want me to tell her?
No, that's the name of Penn Jillette's partner, who is going to be performing alongside of him, who has been performing alongside him for, 45 years, something like that.
We are partnered with a pen that's actually made by the Gillette company. So they actually released a new pen that you can actually use to shave. So what am I supposed to tell her?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. We're going to talk about Penn and Teller.
Okay. Sounds good.
Patrick, what do you think about Penn and Teller? Because you already know what I think. What are your opinions on Penn and Teller?
Well, you take a short guy who doesn't talk and you combine it with a tall guy who talks a lot, and they're both really good magicians, and they're both, Penn's really, really good at verbal comedy. Teller's really good at physical comedy, and you just combine it together, wrap it in a bow. They also tackle the role of being a magician in a very different way than arguably anybody else did when they first started. And that's to kind of give a little bit of a magnifying glass on magic, let people see into it, or real mechanics of it, but then still manage to find a way to fool their pants off in the process. I have a lot of respect for them.
Yeah, it's great. I think they were, there's more magicians like them now in terms of not necessarily their style, but their philosophy. They were the most honest magicians, like by far at the time. And that included revealing some tricks and telling people about tropes in magic and about camera tricks and other stuff. They were just they are very honest about what they do, which is hard to do as a magician, because as a magician you need to lie a lot. So it's
right. So they balance,
unique.
They definitely balance out the amount that they have to lie with a heavy amount of honesty. And I feel like it works so well with them because they are heavier on the honesty than they are with the lying.
Right. Yeah, obviously that I'm huge Penn and Teller fans. I don't even remember when I became such huge fans, because I'd known about them forever, as I'm sure you did. But it wasn't until I think sometime in college I really started to connect with the ideas that they have about magic, and it just started making a lot of sense. So I'm massive Penn and Teller fans. I love all the stuff that they do. I love their TV show Bullshit. I love Fool Us, all the shows that they've done. I love Penn's podcast, the stuff that he talks about outside of magic, whether it be atheism or different art forms. I think he's a good mind, as well as Teller, even though we don't get to hear him as much in the public. But
what do you think about the Penn and Teller Tell a Lie TV show?
So that was, in Penn's words, that was them kind of trying to do bullshit again, and it just it didn't pan out because it couldn't be as raunchy on this Discovery Channel. Because the thing about Penn and Teller Tell a Lie was the thinking behind doing it on the Discovery Channel is they're able to do more scientific approaches to things. They're able to do more scientific approaches, and they're able to do more experiments about science, because their bullshit show on Showtime, some of the ones that they really wanted to do, they had to push super hard for. Like, and for those who don't know, Bullshit is a show that ran for, I think, 8 or 9 seasons on Showtime that Penn and Teller hosted, and honestly produced. And, you know, they were more involved than most people who host a TV show. But they essentially took a topic and showed how it's bullshit. And the
Like,
ones
think of this popular show. I don't think it's on air anymore, but it has been up until very recently. If you've heard of Adam Ruins Everything.
Yes. That's like a more tame version of what Bullshit was.
Right.
Yes. Because Bullshit was very R-rated, not only with some of the topics, but just the way that they would present it, what was in a very humorous way with a lot of crude language. But the ones that they had to push for Showtime to let them do were the ones about like religion, and the one that they did on vaccines, which is actually the last one that they did. They had to push really hard to do the one on vaccines because Showtime didn't think that would sell as much as like shows on prostitution, or they did one on fucking boobs.
Yeah,
like just
there is
all these kind of sillier ones that are still fun to watch, but the ones that were more science-based or religion-based, they had to push really hard for. And with Discovery, they were able to do those easier.
But the one thing that they weren't able to do on Discovery is the full nudity that took place on Showtime.
There's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of swearing. There's a lot of just crazy humor.
But you could tell that that show Bullshit really lined up with who they were. Like, it seemed like they were being very authentic to who they were in that show.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Just the one on Discovery, I think, was only 6 episodes and did not get renewed for another season. It wasn't as successful as they had hoped. But I love Bullshit. You can check it out. I think you can buy episodes on Amazon Prime. Super fun to watch. I've watched all the episodes multiple times.
We should do the Bullshit on psychics for a review sometime.
That would be fun. Yeah, they did a couple on psychics and different varieties there. Yeah, that's a fun one. The one that I really enjoy is the one on feng shui. That's a really good one.
Oh, I remember that one.
You should check that one out sometime, because that one's awesome.
Because they work with a couple different people in that one who claim to be experts in feng shui, and they had them each organize the same room, right?
Yeah, they did.
And just try to see if there were any similarities and the differences between the people. It was hilarious.
Yes, that's a really good one. Fun show. Definitely check it out. But that's not what we're talking about today.
Today we are talking about their first, Penn and Teller's first TV special, which was called Penn and Teller Go Public on the Public TV network.
Yeah. So they had been performing, I think, for 10 years before this TV special came out, which is actually, for how big they are in pop culture and just how public they are, it's kind of crazy that they performed for 10 years without ever doing television. It's
but
kind of a long time.
Good for them. They really, because you can tell in this first special that they really already hashed out who they are as performers.
Yeah. They look very seasoned, even in this first episode, which is crazy. And I mean, they were already pretty big in Magic before going on TV, but Penn and Teller Go Public. So, when did this come out even? I should have wrote that down. Did you write that down? The year it came out?
I can look that up
sometime quick. In the 80s, right?
I think it was late 80s.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I want to say 89.
Yeah, that sounds right. So we only get a couple. It's a shorter special. It's about 30 minutes. little under 30 minutes. And it starts with this opening monologue from Penn. Obviously, all the monologues are going to be from Penn since Teller does not speak. And we get this opening monologue kind of about public TV, and Penn's just kind of like, oh, public TV, artsy stuff, right? And it's just kind of making fun of doing magic on TV. And he talks about how he wanted to just read a poem, and Teller wanted to do something else artistic, but the producers said that's not enough bang, like that's not going to get people attentive. So for their first effect, they tie Teller up in a straitjacket, hang him upside down on a rope that is connected to a chair that Penn is sitting in. And Penn is going to read this poem. And by the time he finishes the poem, he's going to stand up and take a bow. And if Teller does not escape from this jacket, he's going to be dropped straight on his head onto the floor, which is quite a way to open your first ever TV show or your TV appearance.
Yeah, I really like that they had the whole poetry story thing, like talking about how the network and the directors wanted this type of show, but they really wanted to do, like, they wanted something with a lot of razzle dazzle, but Penn and Teller wanted to do a poetry reading, and Teller
which is false, by the way. This is not true. But I guarantee Penn and Teller did not want to just go up and read a poem and do some other artsy thing, but
right.
It is funny. It is funny for
Teller.
the routine.
Teller was going to do some type of like interpretive dance or something called like the birth of like a baby bird in the ghetto or something. That's probably not even. It was the birth of something in the ghetto. I think it was some type of animal.
Yeah, it was a bird. Yeah.
Yeah. That was hilarious. And then this idea of Penn reading a poem while Teller's upside down, and if Teller's not done by the time that Penn is done reading the poem, he just falls straight on top of his head. And during this, there so halfway through, when Penn's reciting this poem, he just gets really quick. Like, he just starts really, like, you can. He
sees that Teller is escaping, and he just starts running through the poem, just like so many words a second. You can't even understand what he's saying.
Yeah, at first you can understand what he's saying, but then he just speeds it up to a point where it's just unintelligible. Like, you can't. It's gibberish pretty much. But you can also tell that he is reciting the poem at the same time. Like,
yeah, he is reading the poem. Yes.
So of course, Teller doesn't fall to his death. And it's, I mean, it's just at the end, right as Teller is finally getting down from it, Penn is standing up, as he says the last word of the poem, and it's just a really good introduction to kind of their style.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a great way to open for them. Shows kind of the style that they're going to do, that, looks like there might be danger, but it's totally safe, and just very, very bizarre stuff in a lot of ways. But next we're going to get a card trick, their famous card stab, and we get the line from Penn saying that card tricks are intrinsically wimpy.
Yes,
which I love. And he has used that many times through card tricks that they've done. And it's true. Card tricks are intrinsically wimpy, especially when done on a stage. But they are able to take card tricks to a pretty extreme level in many ways. And this one is one of their more famous ways. So essentially, they're going to do a card stab. But to preface this, they go into the audience and have a card selected, and Teller's handling the cards. And Penn just starts exposing everything that Teller is doing with the cards, which is pretty hilarious.
In an honest way, too. Like, it's not like he's making stuff up. He's actually explaining the trick as Teller is performing it.
Yes. At first, he's like, "Sir, did you feel like that was a free choice?" And he's like, "Sure." And he's like, well, it wasn't. We forced the card on you. And I think you knew that, but you're just being a nice guy since it's our first time on TV. So he exposes his card force. So then Teller has him freely select a card and then does kind of a sloppy pass. And a pass is a secret way of getting a card to the top of the deck. And Penn just grabs the deck from him and says, okay, I know you didn't see that, but this camera saw it. And he did a pass, and he shows exactly what a pass is to get a card to the top. So they're just exposing like a lot of different things that card mechanics use, which probably pissed a lot of people off back in that time.
Yeah, knowing how people back then treated Magic, and it was probably much more under wraps than it is today with the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Nobody was really talking about it, and you had to kind of know somebody who was in it to learn about it, pretty much. Like, it was hard to break into, I think.
Yes. But eventually we get to a point where the card is selected and shuffled into the deck, and they spread it across this wooden table. And Patrick, do you want to describe the card stab?
Yeah, so the card stab, it's like there's a couple of failures in it. So Teller stabs a card, and
Teller's blindfolded, by the way.
Yes, Teller's blindfolded. He goes to stab a card, lifts it up, and it's not the card. So then he goes and does it again, right? Fails again. Right? Anything that I'm missing here yet?
Yeah. Yep. No, you're good. And okay. Penn's like making fun of him the whole time as Penn's just being a dick to Teller about how he's missing the cards.
Right. Penn's always there kind of poking fun at Teller. Like, it's kind of like everybody in the audience versus Teller. Like with how Penn Teller's just a punching bag, pretty much. But Teller the third time, and we all know third time's the charm, Teller goes to do it again, but Penn's hand is still on the table. From I guess he gestured and set his hand on the table part way into it, but he goes to stab, or maybe Penn sets his hand on here as Teller is doing this, but regardless, Teller goes to stab a card for the third time, ends up stabbing into Penn's hand, and as it gets lifted up with his hand stabbed through the middle with this knife, clearly there's blood coming out, and it's really messy, but you can see the card was stabbed through Penn's hand, and on the palm of Penn's hand, attached with the knife stabbing through, is the card that they picked. So it really, if you're watching it for the first time and you don't know what to expect, it really catches you off guard, and you almost feel it. It feels real.
It's very violent, and Penn screams as soon as the knife supposedly goes through his hand and rips up with the card on it. But they very quickly show that he's fine.
Right.
Which is it's awesome because it's so graphic and nasty and looks so real, but they immediately show like it's fine. It's just a trick, which is great.
And like the anticipation, they have it really built in a really nice way that really allows the final moment of it to hit very hard, because you start off with two failures, so people are just really itching to see this work.
Right.
And then they get Teller stabbing Penn through the hand.
Yes. It's such a great trick. It's one of their more famous pieces that they've been doing for a long time, and I love it. I have even way before I was into Penn and Teller, I would see these tricks like when I was first getting into Magic, and I remember watching the card stab, and that's tricks that like stay with you for a long time. Because when I was young, like I was more into David Copperfield, but looking back on some of the stuff that I watched as a kid, I couldn't remember it all. And looking back on Penn and Teller stuff, like I remembered it almost exactly for what it was. And I wasn't even like fans of Penn and Teller back in the day. So like these are just very memorable tricks that they're doing.
So have you seen this trick be done live?
I have not. No, I don't know if
they've retired it.
Do it. Yeah. At least I don't know if,
And the other time,
but they're not doing it right now.
So the other time that you saw it, did he did Penn do the scripting with it that appeared in this special about revealing the card information?
I've seen them do it where they don't. No, I think they do expose the first half of it too with all the card stuff, because I remember another performance where he talks about palming cards and exposes how to palm a card. So I think they do expose a lot of the card stuff too.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I only
yeah,
remember the card stab part, so I really
yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
how they performed the trick leading up to
yeah.
it.
No, I think they still do all the exposure in there when they do it. Yeah, I love the routine. It's one of my favorites that they do.
It's really good at utilizing the emotions of the audience and just yeah, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's this bit where Teller is smoking a cigarette next to this light post.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a trick, but then after the trick, Penn and Teller sit down at a TV and break down the performance. So why don't you break down what the cigarette trick is?
Yeah, this is a fascinating piece and also one of their most famous. And I won't describe exactly what it is because it's very difficult to do so, but you can look it up. Honestly, if you search just Penn and Teller on YouTube, it's one of the first videos that pops up. It's one of their more famous routines. But essentially, you just have Teller and he's smoking a cigarette. He throws it on the ground, stomps it out, pulls out a new cigarette, lights it, and starts smoking it. And Penn comes out and says, looks pretty simple, right? And he gives this whole monologue on sleight of hand and how everything might not be what it seems. And then they go through what Teller just did, and Teller does it again, or they watch it on the screen like they did in the special. And you can see that everything that Teller just did is completely false. He didn't actually throw the cigarette on the ground. He didn't actually pull out a new one from a case. He's not actually lighting it with a lighter, even though you see a light. Like everything that you've just watched is not how it happened. And they expose it and they show that that's how a lot of sleight of hand works. It looks like normal things being done, but there's just this crazy underworking of things that you don't see or pick up on, and it's beautiful.
I
And
really
that's
like
I
how
don't
they
go ahead.
I like how they sit down at the TV and just watch a replay of what Teller just did.
Mm-hmm.
And I just I don't know, I just really like the idea of them narrating over something that just happened on a video, um, sitting next to this old TV, which was probably like a new TV back then. But it
Sure.
it's got all the knobs and everything on it.
It's such a great routine because it's not even a trick. It's a trick that's not a trick. It looks like Teller's just smoking a cigarette, but there's so many different pieces of sleight of hand going on, and it's cool to have them expose that, and it's
Right.
super fun. So
And
yeah,
the
definitely just look up Penn and Teller on YouTube, and I guarantee it'll be like in the first 5 videos. You'll see it. Um,
and the
yeah.
beautiful part, like the how it ends, it ends after Penn talks through the whole trick. It ends with Penn and Teller both doing the sequence with the cigarette at the same time
Mm-hmm.
after
Yeah,
explaining how
and
complicated it was.
so nowadays, this was maybe before Penn was playing bass, but Penn plays the bass alongside of this now. So Penn will be playing bass to the side, and Teller's doing that, and Penn's giving his monologue while playing bass, which is actually incredibly hard to be talking normally while keeping the correct beat on a bass. But
So they still
so
do this one.
no, I don't know that they don't do it in their show now,
Oh,
but
okay.
they have done it for a long time. But it's a great effect.
Yeah, I honestly I'd never seen this one
Really?
before. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this I've seen this one a lot.
But yeah, really good. Just check it out. Just type in online just Penn and Teller cigarette trick, I guess.
It'll pop up. You can just type in Penn and Teller. It'll be like the first video. It's probably their most famous video on YouTube.
Also, so this special, I got the confirmation. This special aired in 1985,
Okay.
and you can find this special on YouTube. Just search Penn and Teller Go Public, and there's a couple of different options for you to choose from. and you can watch the whole thing. It's about like a half hour.
Yeah. Yeah. So now the next thing that we get is the trick that you can do at home. So they're going to teach you some more about magic here. A lot of teaching, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So this is a trick that they first show and then explain how it's done. And so I'll describe what it is. Essentially, you are having someone select a card. You are unable to find it, and then you turn on your TV onto some news program, and the news, they're talking about whatever, and then all of a sudden the guy who's broadcasting says, "Hold on, this is coming through," and he pulls out a giant card, and it's the card that they selected. So what they did for this special is they aired the news clip as part of it, and they had people who wanted to do this set their DVR or their VCRs and record it on an empty tape or over another tape. So then you could have this tape in your TV and are able to do the trick. And essentially all they did is just taught a very simple card force to make it work. Which is pretty fun. I wonder how many people actually did this.
Yeah, and the method used isn't you could make it fooling. I mean,
it's super easy, and it is very fooling. Yeah, there's no sleight of hand involved, and you're able to force the card. They use the 3 of clubs, which is what you would have to use too, because the newscaster segment is the 3 of clubs, which is their famous card. But
so speaking of the 3 of clubs, that is also the card that is behind your head right now.
Yes.
Attached to that wood on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3 of clubs is important to Penn and Teller, and it's kind of their signature thing because it's they always, when they force a card on somebody, they always
it's the 3 of clubs.
Right. They're always using the 3 of clubs. And it's just it shows the audience who knows enough. Like if the audience knows enough about them, they know that the 3 of clubs is a recurring thing, and it gives them an idea whenever something funny happened and the cards were forced.
It became like a running gag for a long time. If you're watching Penn and Teller and someone chooses the 3 of clubs, you know that they forced that card. So.
Right, and it just kind of shows the audience that they're not afraid of you knowing how something works, because they always will find a way to fool you in the end.
And do you know why they use the 3 of clubs, Patrick?
Why the 3 of clubs in particular?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I do.
Okay, I'll save that for trivia. No, just kidding. They use the 3 of clubs because it is easily identifiable. What am I saying? It is easily Wow, my
identifiable.
Mind is not working. Identifiable. It is easy to identify on television. The 3 of clubs is easy to see the value of the card. Versus like a 10 of spades is very, it could be an 8 or a 9. It's very clear what that card is. So that's why they chose that card.
And they've stuck with that even to this day.
Yes. They have. They don't do as many things with it now. Like I remember the show that I saw them do in 2019, which is very different than the show I saw them do this past year. They did do a card force at some point, but it was not the 3 of clubs. So they didn't want you to know it was a card force in that one. But
so as a magician, like who can tell when a card force is being used regardless of the outcome, it's interesting seeing when they would want you. Like it's obvious to us when they want it to go past.
When they want to expose stuff, at least in card magic that uses a force, they will force the 3 of clubs, because then at least Penn and Teller fans would know.
So how many?
So go ahead.
How many card tricks do they usually put into a show that they do?
Not many.
1 or 2, pretty much.
I'm trying to think in their most recent show that they're doing now. I know they have 1 for sure. I think it's just 1. Yeah, I think it's just 1. They do a couple coin tricks. Yeah, just the 1.
Okay.
But they make it play very, very big. Um, yeah, so that's the last piece in the episode is they teach you how to force a card and then let you tape this news clip to fool your friends, which is really fun. I honestly wonder how many people did this because it's actually a very great trick.
Oh yeah, I bet back when back when this was released, I bet a lot of people used it, especially since they were not. I mean, this special was on TV, but it's not like everybody watched it, right?
Right.
So enough people watched it and tried it out. I mean, and not enough people watched it to where everybody knew about this cassette thing. So I bet a lot of people,
because it's even the guy who's doing the broadcasting on the news segment that they have you record. It is Penn.
Right, and it doesn't really look. It looks. You wouldn't know it was him.
No, the first time I ever saw this, I didn't know it was him, which is crazy.
And I never confirmed that it was him, but by the end of it, I assumed it was him because of how close it looked to like it.
Yes,
he looks different enough for you to question it. But
oh yes, yeah. So the final segment. This is
the best part of the show.
This is the best part. Penn gives another beautiful monologue about camera tricks and about how his peers use their raw skill, and since they're new guys and no one knows them, that they want to confirm to everyone that they are also using raw skill and their abilities within magic, and they use no camera tricks. So then they are going to swear to the audience that they use no camera tricks. So Penn's just like, Teller, the Bibles. And Teller just brings out this huge stack of Bibles from like all sorts of different religions. And they put their hands on top of this stack and swear to God that they are not using camera tricks. And then it cuts.
Yeah, this next part.
And then it cuts. And they're in a graveyard. And Penn's just looking up at the camera. He's like, we're at my mother's grave now. And they swear on their mother's dead body that they are not using camera tricks. And then tell us what they do next.
Well, so before we move on to that, and they also make it clear in the thing that they recite that they will not use video or camera tricks in that special, or that no video and camera tricks were used in that special, or will be used in any special that they release in the future. So that was just their commitment to. But that makes this part, everything leading up to this makes it just ridiculous. So this leads to the credits section, and this is a video of Penn and Teller performing camera tricks. So right after Penn is done talking, swearing that he's not going to use he's not going to use camera tricks at his mother's grave, to him and Teller doing very, very clear camera tricks with jump cuts that are just so painfully obvious, like even like you're supposed to know that this is a camera trick. Like there's no, like what were you like there's one part where Penn just immediately, like just in a flash, he's just wearing a different costume. Like his suit color changes.
Just very bad editing and cuts that don't line up. And
there's this part where Penn's holding a mini Teller in his hands, and he just crumples him up. There's this part where Teller is levitating Penn, but there's clear discrepancies in the quality. Like you can see like this static around him.
It's so funny.
But the way it ends, I think the final thing that they do, or one of the final things they do in this segment where the credits are going, Penn gets up after he's done being levitated by Teller, and then they have this handshake. Do you remember this?
Yes.
So there's this handshake where Penn and Teller go to give themselves a handshake after the levitation, but they're clearly two different video files being pressed together, and when they go to the handshake, their hands just kind of are just floating next to each other. They're not. It's just clearly not touching and awkward. And yeah, I don't know. Any words on that?
No, it's just super funny. It's great. And this was even before there was a ton of camera tricks used in Magic. Obviously, before Chris Angel came up and just riddled the fucking Magic TV world with camera tricks. So yeah, it's great. They're very funny. Yeah, good way to end the special, and they end a lot of their specials by doing this stupid camera stuff, camera trick stuff.
Oh, it's not
Just
the
awesome.
so
This is not the only time they do this. Yeah, I've watched many of their old specials where they do this like every time, and it's hilarious. Um, but yeah, that's Penn and Teller Go Public. I would highly recommend watching this. I think they are the most entertaining performers in Magic. I would recommend watching anything that they do, and if you can see their live show, I've seen it twice. It is phenomenal. My favorite show I've ever been to.
very funny, very entertaining, great magic, and
And just
yeah.
super nice guys, very honest guys. Penn is very outspoken in both Magic and just other communities in the world. He's got a podcast called Penn Sunday School that I listen to regularly.
And
yeah,
in there he
they're
also talks in detail about some things regarding like things that he's working on and performing with Teller in the show.
Yeah, he talks in detail about their show. He talks in detail about Fool Us. They have other magicians on. They have other guests on. In general, it's a fun podcast. Yeah, but they're great. For one of the coolest things that they do is up until COVID, every show that they've done, they meet with people after who want to stay and meet them. You don't need any special ticket or anything. If you want to meet Penn and Teller, you would just hang out after the show for an extra 10 minutes and they would come out and whoever's left would get the chance to shake their hands and say hello.
And they don't
super cool.
They never leave until everybody who wants to
They don't leave until everyone's gotten the chance.
Really cool. I mean, for people who, clearly they don't have to do that. And not many people do that, but and at the level of fame that they're at currently, not many people who have that would do that because they don't have to.
Yeah, it's super cool. I got the chance to meet them in 2019 after I saw their show for the first time in Vegas, which was awesome. Took some pictures with them. And they've been doing it forever. I know a member at the club that I work at who saw them before they ever went on TV back in New York. And they were doing it then too. And he got to meet them back in the early 80s.
Just a nice touch that lets the audience just kind of give lets the audience see that you're just a regular person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most everyone that gives the opportunity to meet them after the show, it's either through a special expensive ticket or they just don't do it at all. So it's really cool to see them do that.
Do they have?
Unfortunately, they don't do it anymore because of COVID. So I don't know. Hopefully, at some point they'll be able to do it again because it is one of the coolest parts about them.
Yeah, it must be weird for them going from. Maybe it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a break from doing it, but
it could be.
But it must be weird for them to go from doing it after every single show and to not doing it at all.
Right. I think they enjoy it, but yeah, there could be some positives too.
So
saves them 45 minutes at the end of each show.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, that's Penn and Teller Go Public. Feel free to check it out on the internet. Really funny. Like even though we went into decent detail about the stuff that's performed, there's no way we can verbally convey how funny, how entertaining it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, it's hilarious.
Yeah. Are we ready for trivia now?
Cue the music. I'm ready.
It's time for some trivia.
Okay, so our trivia this week, you guessed it, Penn and Teller. Patrick has a good opportunity here to surpass my lead because all of these questions are on Penn and Teller.
Would you say good opportunity though? Would you say
No,
like
I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that actually. Oh, you know what? Just to clarify, we have determined that the Chicago bonus that I received last week for the question about brownies was worth 1 point. So the point totals through 6 weeks stand at 10 points for Patrick, and I have 13. I am now at an odd number of points, which
unprecedented.
Is unprecedented and could make the difference in the end. So we will find out.
Pretty much means we cannot tie.
Yes, a tie is impossible unless you get your own Chicago bonus of sorts.
Yeah, I mean the Chicago bonus is it the new meta? Is the Chicago bonus the new meta? We'll see. We'll see what we got in store. So you already stated the points that we're sitting at right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's at stake for people who don't know?
So at stake, the loser of this will be the loser. Let's make that clear.
Yes, the loser will be the loser.
The winner is going to have the opportunity to script and write a performance of some sort of magic that the other will have to film, the loser will have to film, and post on YouTube to be available for everyone to see. And you can be certain that it will be a bad performance, probably a bad trick in a very embarrassing way. So yeah, look forward to that.
I know Lucas is really excited for what I've got in store for him when he loses. There's going to be a lot of milk. No, I'm kidding. You're vegan. I wouldn't. Maybe
you can make it almond milk.
I'll make it almond milk.
There you go.
We'll put the almond milk label on it. But there's going to be a lot of almonds. He's going to be bathing in almond milk, and then he's going to have to do a trick with almonds. So it's going to be like a water torture escape with almond milk. But he has to perform a trick with almonds.
Am I going to do the vegan milk tank and then come out and then do an almond trick after?
He's going to be dressed up as an almond in this vegan milk tank, and well, I mean, what do you think? What do you think you're going to do for mine if I lose? I mean, not going to happen, but if.
I'm actually just going to make you perform through and through, which is the needle through hand for people who don't know that, because I know you've never done that. So I'm just going to make you do that, and I know that'll be worrisome enough.
Yeah, that'd be stressful. We'll see what happens though. All right, the music has already been cued. Let's
get into trivia.
Let me just kind of whoop your ass real quick. Let's do it.
Okay. Before we get into trivia, just a little side note. Part of the reason why I became a vegan, part of the reason, not the entire reason, is because of Penn, who is vegan now, and he sometimes will talk about it on his podcast, and that definitely got the seed planted in my mind. But that was not the entire reason why I changed, but just a little nugget there.
And he lost a bunch of weight by just eating potatoes, correct?
Yeah, so he used to be a bigger guy, and you can see that in a lot of TV appearances. And I think in like 2016, he started losing a bunch of weight. He lost over 100 pounds, and now he's a slimmer fellow, still super tall, but yeah. And now he's vegan, which is great. So, question 1. Penn and Teller have been very present in pop culture and on television all throughout their history since they first appeared on television in 1985. Which television show have Penn and Teller not made an appearance on? So I will read you 4 television shows. You tell me which one they have not been on. Is it A, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Is it B, Sabrina the Teenage Witch? Is it C, Fetch with Ruff Ruffman? Or is it D, Sid the Science Kid?
This is a hard one. I'm going to lock in Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I feel like it's too obvious. Let's go with that.
Locking in Sabrina, the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, I really don't know any of the other shows that you mentioned, though.
So Where in the World is Carmen San Diego?
Heard of
is
that.
kind of like a Where's Waldo game, except made into a television show where they're trying to track down Carmen San Diego. I have very vague memories of watching this as a kid.
What about the Rough Ruthman one?
That was another kid show. They have been on that. That one. I think that was like 2006. It's not even that old. But they have not been on Sid the Science Kid. They have been on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which does seem very on the nose, and they have been on it.
Well, good for them. Good for them being on the nose. Sid the Science Kid, you can fuck off. I don't know if you're still a kid, still a scientist, but you.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I should. I'll just ask it now. This one's got some backstory to it after the question that I love. Fell down a little rabbit hole here. When did Penn and Teller's first video game come out? Because they've had multiple. Is it A, 1995, B, 1998, C, 2017, or D, 2019?
Well, it can't be the two later ones. It's got to be an older one, but 95 seems kind of early for a video game. Was it 98? Was that one of them?
Yes.
We're going to have to submit the 98. I just don't see Penn and Teller being that late into the video game sphere where it would be 2017 or 2019. So we're going to stick with 1998. Could
1998.
be 95,
1998 was the year that their third video game came out.
that means they released a video game every year starting in 1995.
1995. They had one in 1996, 1998, and then they had a long drought, and the next one didn't come out till 2019.
What was that? What was the 2019 game?
I think that was their Borderlands. They're in Borderlands.
Oh, okay, yeah, yep, they are. They're a boss fight in Borderlands.
Yes. Penn is also going to be in the new Borderlands movie coming out.
Oh, nice.
This year or next, I can't remember.
There's a Borderlands movie. I'm definitely going to watch that.
It's actually the second one. I think there's one already out.
What?
Yeah. But
okay.
So in 1995, they came out with a video game called Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors. Okay. Which featured a bunch of mini games. Okay. And all of these were kind of stupid mini games. You just have your friends play them and they're like, what the fuck is this? And there's one game in particular that is very infamous in this game, and it's called Desert Bus, and it has a cult following now. And Desert Bus is largely considered to be the worst video game of all time. Have you heard of this?
What's it called again?
Desert Bus.
No.
Okay, you're gonna love this.
Let's hear it.
Desert Bus is a game where you drive a bus from Tucson, Arizona to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay. I'm in.
The bus has no passengers. You make no stops to pick people up. You just drive a bus through the desert from Tucson to Las Vegas. And keep in mind, this came out in 1995. The graphics are not good.
Yeah.
You're kind of in a first person point of view behind the wheel of a bus driving on a desert road in real time.
Do you have to pee? Do you have to like have a urine?
No. It's you drive. It's 360 miles from Tucson to Las Vegas. Takes about 8 hours. That's how long the game takes to drive from Tucson to Las Vegas. That's it. That's the game. That. You put in your name. You drive 360 miles, and when you've completed the trip, you get 1 point.
So would you know what the high score is on there?
The high score is 99, which is the highest you can get, which is, I think you'd have to play the game for like 33 days to get that, like straight. Just
simpler times.
Yeah, it gets better though, because who's to say you just don't hold down the controller and go? Well, if you go off the road, your bus stalls out and you have to get towed by a tow truck.
How long does it take to
And
wait for the tow truck?
it's in real time. So the tow truck comes and tows you back to Tucson in real time. So if you have been driving for 4 hours and go off the road, you're going to be towed for another 4 hours back and now have to start over from your 8-hour journey.
So can you pause the game?
No, you cannot pause the game. It seems like you'd just be able to hold the gas, though, and just keep it on the road pretty easily. But here's my favorite part. The bus has a slight pull to the right.
Oh, no.
So you have to constantly adjust to the left to prevent yourself from driving off the right side of the road.
And do you encounter cars that you have to pass, or?
No. Occasionally you'll see a bus sign that you pass by, or a rock on the side. Throughout the entire 8-hour journey, 2 bugs will hit your windshield. It does go from day to nighttime. It will change the time of day. But that's it. That's the game.
Is it all straight, or are there curves to the road?
No, it's a dead straight road.
The
only turning you do is to prevent yourself from the slight pull that the bus has.
Well, we got to play that sometime. They
actually have a mobile app, which I have downloaded, and it is it's awesome.
You've played. I've
played it. I didn't play it all the way through, but just to have it on my phone is like, this is awesome.
Well,
I think maybe our next segment of trivia, the loser has to just play a full run through of Desert Bus. That would be pretty torturous, and just stream the whole thing.
You paid 99 cents for this?
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's see.
It's the only game I have on my phone.
Wow.
So here's the cool thing about this game. It developed such a cult following that in 2011, there was a charity created by Loading Ready Run. They call it Desert Bus for Hope. It's run by a Canadian internet comedy group. They're Loading Ready Run is the name of them. And it's a fundraiser they do where they just run Desert Bus for hours and raise money for Child's Play, which is a charity that gets toys for children. And they still do it. I think last year they raised like 1.18 million doing it. And like they've had Penn and Teller come onto the stream while they're doing it before and talk about Desert Bus and about what they're doing. And it's cool that came out of it.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to work out this little mini game that involves the Desert Bus being played.
But initially they had the idea for it, and it was Eddie Gorodetsky was the guy who I think had the initial idea alongside Penn and Teller, and he kind of created the game. But their idea for it was, there was at the time some politician who was commenting on video games and the violence in video games and how they should be more similar to real life and more subdued. And Penn is just like, yeah, that's what you want in a virtual reality experience, is something just like life, So then they created Desert Bus as a response to that.
So
it's very real. You just drive a bus.
It was Penn making a troll.
Pretty much. But it's awesome. I love it.
What a guy.
Yeah.
All right. What's our next question?
All right. So I still have, let's see. We've asked 2. I have 5 questions left here, so I got to choose 3 of them.
Well, you could choose all of them, and then I could just have an extra chance to win more points.
I think we're going to go... Let's see. Which one do I want to go with? Let's go with a Fool Us question. I got 2 Fool Us questions. This one you might know.
Okay.
So Penn and Teller Fool Us has been running, I think they're on their 9th season now. Season 1 came out in 2011. Who was the first person to fool Penn and Teller on Fool Us?
Okay.
Was it Benjamin Earl, John Archer, Matthew Bish, or Nick Einhorn?
Wasn't Bish. Was not Matthew Bish. What were the first two?
Benjamin Earl and John Archer.
I know John Archer definitely fooled them. And in fact, you probably picked people that all fooled.
These are the first 4 people that fooled them.
Okay. It's just a matter of order. Well, John Archer's performance really stands out to me. Because it was probably one of the first to Fool Us episodes that I ever watched. And I remember Nicholas Einhorn as well. And I want to say he came back later on and performed again. I'm gonna say it's in between. I mean, who knows? It could be the Earl guy, but I'm gonna say it's in between Einhorn and John Archer, and I'm just gonna go with my gut and go with John Archer.
That is correct. It is John Archer.
Hey.
You get points on the board.
Yes. Yes, it feels
I thought you
good.
might get that one.
Feels so good.
Yeah, John Archer performed a banknote routine. I think it was in the first episode even. Yeah, really good routine. Definitely look it up. He's a funny guy.
I actually have that routine.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great routine. Fooled Penn and Teller. Okay, I'm going to skip over our next Fool Us question. Let's see. So, Penn and Teller abstain from drugs and alcohol. Okay, Penn has never done drugs or alcohol. Teller drank in college, but he does not anymore. What does that make them? I'm going to give you 4 terms, okay? And one of them has to do with abstaining from alcohol. Is it a Rechabite, a teetotaler, a wowser, or a Yarborough?
What the fuck? I'm gonna say, let's just take Wowzer out. Okay, I don't even want to deal with that. And what was the T one?
A teetotaler.
I'm gonna take that one out too. That one just kind of sounds weird. What are the first and the last ones?
A Rechabite and a Yarborough.
Yarborough, Rechabite. I'm gonna go with Rechabite. We're gonna lock that in.
Okay, I will give you the definitions of each. So a Yarborough is the only one that doesn't really have to do with the subject. A Yarborough is a hand of cards containing no card above a 9. Okay.
Glad I didn't pick that one.
Weird. I've never heard of that, but interesting. A wowser is a person who is publicly critical of others and the pleasures they seek, or a killjoy. A Rechabite.
Oh. You're just looking
is
at it.
A Rechabite is a member of an Israelite family descended from Rechab who refused to drink wine or live in houses.
It was a teetotaler?
So a teetotaler is a person who never drinks alcohol. A teetotaler. Teetotalism is a definition of people who don't drink. And there's actually a Wikipedia page of that with a list of celebrities who are teetotalers.
So you could argue that I got the closest to it without being right.
You did.
Because it's an Israelite that abstains from drinking wine.
And live in houses.
You mean what? They abstain from living in houses, or they live in houses?
I guess. No, they abstain from living in houses.
Okay.
Refuse to drink wine or live in houses. That's the definition.
All right. Beer and homelessness. That's the new name for this podcast.
Yes.
All right. Well, I got one right. Does that mean there's 2 left? There's 3 left. 2, 1.
We got 1 left.
Okay.
1 left. I'll let you choose what you want me to ask. Do you want me to ask a question? I have another Fool Us question. I could ask a question about Fool Us. I could ask a question about Sunday school, or I could ask a question about a trick in Penn and Teller show. What would you like me to ask you?
Let's go Sunday school.
Wow. Okay, I was not expecting.
Well, I wasn't.
Sunday school.
I wasn't really thinking. I was thinking more so about what I was interested in hearing rather than what I might have a higher chance of.
Wow. All right. Well, I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Because this is definitely the toughest one.
Oh, well, shit.
Okay, I'll read the other two at the end. But who was the most recent guest on Penn's Sunday School?
Okay. I should have watched.
Now, by recent guest, there are a couple of guys who come on there and they don't deem them as guests because they come on regularly. This includes Piff, the Magic Dragon.
Kudo.
And Handsome Jack has been on there recently, but they aren't always considered guests. At least they're not in the title of the show. So I will give you 4 people who have been on the show recently who was on there most recently. So we have Jandro Solo, who is a magician from Spain who works closely with Penn and Teller. He has been on Fool Us 4 times, has fooled Penn and Teller 4 times.
Wow.
Jonathan Rausch. We have Lawrence Krauss and Leonard and Jesse Malton. So Leonard and Jesse Malton are film critics. Lawrence Krauss is a scientist and atheist, does a lot of religious studies. And Jonathan Rausch is an American author, journalist, and activist.
Well, I'm going to say it's in between Rausch and the one that you talked about before just recently. What, Krauss? It's in between those
Lawrence
two.
Krauss?
Yeah. I'm going to go with Lawrence Krauss.
You are correct. It is Lawrence Krauss. Well done. It's a great podcast. I'm trying to remember what they talked about.
Were those people all people who have been on the podcast, though?
Yes, and recently.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, Jandro was on there just before Lawrence was. But, yeah. Yeah, they have great guests on the show, and it's fun to listen to what they have to talk to. Well, you got 4 points there, so you have leaped me. You're at 14 now. I'm at 13.
So I just need you to.
Done.
I need you to have a round where you don't get any points, and then I'll maintain the lead. Otherwise,
and you will maintain the lead. Yes.
Otherwise,
yes.
If you get even one right, you'll be in the lead by 1 point.
Yes. Well, I'm impressed that you got that last one right because I think the other ones were easier, and I'll ask them anyways just for fun.
Sure.
Since we're enjoying Penn and Teller here. So the other Fool Us question I had was, which magician did not fool Penn and Teller on Fool Us? Is it Joshua J., Greg Wilson, Rick Lax, or Blake Vogt?
What was the first one?
Joshua J.
I think it's in between Joshua J. and Rick Lax. I'm going to go with Rick Lax. I just don't think that he fooled them. He may have. I know he released...
He did.
He released tricks that were based on... Was it Joshua J.?
No. It is Blake Vogt.
Blake Vogt.
Vogt. Yes, he did not.
Really?
But he did a great performance. Yeah, it is kind of surprising because he is extremely skilled and a great creator of magic.
Did he do like the chair, or did he do like the cardboard or the breakaway chair thing?
No, I can't remember exactly what he did. But I have vague memories of it, but I can't remember. And the other question I had is, which trick did Penn and Teller remove from their show due to audience reactions? Is it their pro-vaccination Chinese chopsticks, Teller walking on water via a fire hose, the Vanish and Reproduction of the American flag, or their routine on airport security?
I'm going to go with the American flag thing.
That is correct. Yeah, so the pro-vaccination Chinese chopsticks, that's not entirely what the routine was. This is a routine I saw Penn do by himself in 2019 at a show, and he did a beautiful monologue alongside a performance of the Chinese chopsticks, which is a classic in stage magic. And during part of it, there was a section on vaccinations. Teller walking on water via a fire hose is a trick that they were never able to successfully do in their show. This is a trick that they tried to create for a long time, spent a lot of money trying to make it work, and ultimately it never did. But essentially they wanted to take this very powerful fire hose and have it blasting across the stage, and Teller to just step up onto the water and just kind of start surfing onto the water. But they could never quite get it.
That sounds like there'd be a lot of logistics involved in that would make it
spent a lot of money. It was super loud. The hose was obviously just getting water everywhere. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, how do you control that?
Right. The routine on airport security, it's not specifically on airport security, but they do a routine with one of the metal detectors that you walk through, like in a TSA line, and they make someone appear in between the metal detector holding a giant bazooka. So that's a fun one. And then the Vanish and Reproduction of the American flag is one of the more famous routines, where they fold up an American flag, put it into a Bill of Rights, light it on fire, and it vanishes. And it's a commentary on protesting and burning the flag, which they think is okay because the Bill of Rights is still going to be there, whether you burn a piece of a cloth or not. Like, that's not significant. But they would then expose the trick using the Chinese Bill of Rights, which is just a clear piece of plastic, and you can see what was going on with the flag. And they would get oftentimes like a standing ovation for this effect. And the finale is the flag appears on a flagpole, and they would get this huge standing ovation for this trick. And it's really not a crazy trick, and they were just getting this ovation because people have this overpowering sense of patriotism that is sometimes not always fun, and that's how they felt about it.
So the people who ended up applauding for it at the end were some of the people who also disliked the certain parts of the routine?
Probably disliked the idea of burning a flag. I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but I'm sure you've encountered plenty of people who have an overwhelming sense of patriotism that kind of isn't really based on anything other than you were happened to be born in the U.S.
Sure.
And some people kind of take it to an extreme, and Penn and Teller certainly don't like that. And they were kind of getting that out of some people with that trick. So.
Oh, okay. So there was definitely a level of irony to that, to how that would play out.
But so you down 14 points. This was a fun one. I love Penn and Teller, so I had a good time making these questions. Had a good time watching the special.
Yeah, very interesting questions. I learned about that game, the driving game.
Yeah, Desert Bus. So good.
Might go and download that right now. I don't know.
So
we'll
good.
See. Yeah, so I am in the lead by 1 point, but Lucas still has to get his questions in for this, for things to even out. So really next week is going to be the big tell. And then I think that's going to, if he has a blowout next week, it's not really looking good to be me.
If I could blow you out to the point of no return, I think, right? Because if I get all 10, well, no.
Well, how many weeks do we have
I can't
left?
do that. Well, you have 1 week left, and I have 2. You have the potential for 10 more points. I have the potential for 20.
Right, because we did 10 rounds total, so like
yes,
five
each. You've done 4 sessions. I've done 3.
The Chicago bonus. Wow.
The Chicago bonus is keeping me within 1.
What a legendary bonus the Chicago bonus is. Maybe we'll have
Could
to
be infamous.
we'll have to go out to Chicago and do like some type of ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do maybe we go to the Bean, go to the Willis Tower or something.
Maybe.
We'll figure it out. Wow. Well, I'm glad that I'm glad that I can say I'm in the lead right now.
Yeah, you are in the lead. And anything else to add before we sign off?
I hope you like the taste of defeat.
I hope you like the taste of straight up poop.
You're gonna have to play desert. You're gonna have to play Desert Bus three times in a row while performing a live 24-hour Zoom magic show.
You're gonna have to play Desert Bus and get a full 3 points while performing magic.
Yes.
That's awesome.
You're gonna have to block.
I kind of want to speed run Desert Bus.
You got 8 hours to just literally kill.
No, I want to get to 99 points. I want to max out.
Oh, you're gonna speed run.
Yeah, I want to speed run it.
All right. Well, we'll see you in a month. Maybe we'll check in on you periodically.
Desert Bus. What a crazy game. I'm obsessed with it now.
Makes me want to make a really dumb video game.
I mean, that's like stupid ideas that we would think of, and they're actually doing it, like back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like how great is that? Like we've thought of plenty of stupid stuff that's kind of in that ballpark, but they're like actually putting it out there.
You just
like,
need
this is a real game that you can play.
Right. Penn and Teller, like, I feel like if we had enough of a budget to work with, we would really dump some coin down the drain and do some really dumb shit. I mean, we're already doing enough dumb shit without it. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's all I got to say. Also,
yeah, that being said, oh, go ahead.
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, Season 4.
Season 4, check it out. Also, if you want your discount at any gas station, it's just, what is it again, Patrick?
Flavortown 20, bitch. And then you point...
Yeah, Flavortown 20.
Point the gun at the cashier and say, Flavortown 20, and they'll give it to you. Maybe you'll get a free bonus. Maybe you'll get some money. Really, it's like a built-in mini game.
Yeah, a little mini game in life.
Yeah,
and then after that, you can hop in a bus and drive it for 8 hours.
Get out of town.
Get out of town. All right. That was the Flaming Melon podcast.
Hello. 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 Hello.